to that match, but we've got a match for you guys here between Joe Bernal and Michael Bustos, so we're going to join this one in progress. Bernal, a face you've got to be familiar with. How can you not love that baby face on Joe Bernal? Esper Miracles he's going to be trying to resolve a Terminus. We'll see if this works out the way he wants to. Bustos playing Imperial Painter.
A deck that's gotten a lot of visibility lately. You know, Greg Smith had the open win in St. Louis. You had Ruben Bressler putting up a lot of good results with this lately.
Yeah, I mean, again, Greg Smith winning with this. Ruben Bressler, Jared Betcher played that in the Invitational, made top 8 there. You know, the problem here for Michael is this is a real tough matchup.
Yes.
Really, really tough matchup. When I was playing Imperial Painter in Seattle, these were my 2 losses, was just playing against Miracles. It doesn't have to be Espers. It can just be straight blue-white, the Lisette version, blue-white, small splash of red. It's very, very difficult to beat this deck. Blood Moon's not very good against them because they have a lot of basics, and they have really great ways of breaking up the combo, obviously, of Painter, Servant, and Grindstone. So it's just difficult all the way around. It looks like it's going to be a Lingering Souls here for Bernal. I'm going to get 4 Spirit Tokens here momentarily. And then we'll get this show on the road here for Bustos. It looks like he's going to untap.
And Jace is a very stable way of winning the game as well. Another asset for the Esper Miracles player in this matchup. Also, a problem in the matchup is that Imperial Painter has just a lot of disconnected pieces, you know?
Yeah.
And Esper decks are very good at breaking that kind of stuff up. Discard spells and spot removal and so forth.
The other issue, too, is, you know, Blood Moon just not very good against this deck.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the problems that I ran into when I was playing it. In Seattle, I ended up playing against Merfolk twice, Miracles twice, and Death and Taxes twice. Nothing that Blood Moon was particularly good against.
Yep.
So that was a little bit annoying. But, yeah, when you resolve a Blood Moon against this deck, unless their draw really falls apart in a certain way, Blood Moon's not going to be very good against them a high percentage of the time. I know there was one game that I was playing where I actually tried to play a Blood Moon on the play on turn 1, and they got Force Willed, and he said if that would have resolved, I had 2 fetch lands.
Yeah.
So it would have been good then, but outside of that, you know, a lot of the times Blood Moon's not going to be very good here against this deck. You see Bernal's going to come in for 4 with these Spirit Tokens.
Yeah, against some builds of Esper Deathblade, certainly a fast Blood Moon is almost certainly game over, but Esper Miracles is usually a more basic land-heavy strategy because they have to concern themselves with Wasteland. They're trying to get to 4 and 5 mana and so forth.
And I actually like how you said that against some builds of Esper Deathblade. You would think all builds of Esper Deathblade Blood Moon would be great against, but I mean, if you take a look at Derek Sheets' deck from last week that he won 11-0 with, he had 3 basics in his deck.
Alongside 2 Wastelands and a variety of duels.
Oh, he got a little greedy.
Yeah.
He got a little greedy, but he made it work, obviously, since he was the Season 1 champion.
The old Scrubland Tropical Island deck.
My favorite.
Yeah.
I do love it. You see a top going to get spun here for Bustos. He's going to take a draw. He's under the gun now. He wants to get the hand empty. That's got to be the plan to turn on Snaring Bridge. He's going to take a little bit of damage, try to resolve a Blood Moon here. Bernal's going to hardcast a Force Will. He's not going to let that happen. But a Pyroblast says actually that will happen. So in comes Blood Moon.
So this cuts Joe off of white mana.
Yeah, he's got 1 blue, 1 black, and then a bunch of red.
It also means he cannot cast Jace the Mind Sculptor for the time being.
Which is very important in this matchup, actually, because Bernal's actually going to be stopped from attacking for the moment because there are no cards in hand. Now, we can take a look at Bernal's deck list and see if he has actually a way to get Ensnaring Bridge off the board. He has 2 copies of Vindicate, but he can't actually cast that right now. You take a look at his mana base, he does have a Swamp and a Plains, along with 4 islands. So he can work his way there. It might take a little while, but it seems like he's got quite a bit of time.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily the case, as Michael has Divining Top. He has access to it, so if he finds ways to shuffle his deck or just the pieces in general. And remember, he also can manipulate the top of his deck by using Grindstone on himself. He can set down 2 cards he doesn't want and just mill them over. So that's a way for him to sort of engineer his own shuffling effects, even if he doesn't find fetch lands.
Yeah, it's actually an important interaction with this deck. Take a look at 3 cards here. A couple Arid Mesas, along with the Simian Spirit Guide. The big question is, does he know that interaction with this deck is that he can actually clear cards off of the top and does he even want to utilize that interaction?
Yeah, he may be just happy to draw lands for the time being.
And one thing he could be doing here, because he does have excess mana, he can just be grinding Bernal naturally as well.
Yeah, I think he actually likely should be doing that.
See Phyrexian Revoker, the new card that Bustos is looking at. Yeah, a little surprised not to see the activations here of Grindstone at all. There's a Revoker, which isn't going to play a huge role right now. It can name there's a couple different things it can name. We'll get confirmation on what it is naming here from our table spotter in just a second, as Bernal's going to pick up a Brainstorm.
I sort of understand not wanting to randomly Grindstone Joe here, as he has Lingering Souls and Snapcaster Mage in his list, so he does have some graveyard value, but I think it's worth going to work.
Stoneforge Mystic, the name here for the Revoker.
I mean, if Joe's completely incapacitated here, it's possible you could just win with Grindstone.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's say he has one out to his deck,
Yeah.
or one basic plains and it's at the bottom of his library or whatever. You could win the game this way.
And, you know, for me, it's just, you're not really doing anything else with that thing. Might as well use it. It's kind of free. I guess I'm trying to think of things that could go wrong if he just kind of turns these cards over, and I don't think there's a ton of things that can really go poorly.
It's just graveyard value stuff. You know, he could flip over a Lingering Souls. Maybe there's a turn where he can't get his hand empty, but I mean, we're talking corner case stuff.
Yeah. I would want to fire off some Grindstone activations given the opportunity. But we will see what Bustos does want to do here over the next couple of turns, as Bernal's going to resolve a Brainstorm. He's trying to figure out what he wants to put back. He's going to put those 2 cards back. Another thing, too, here for Joe is it's kind of interesting exactly how does he want to set cards back with the Brainstorm, because even though Bustos hasn't activated Grindstone yet, you know, you do maybe want to be a little careful with what you do set back down. Looks like he's going to Jace all the way to the bottom in the off chance that Bustos does activate Grindstone.
Yeah, there's this curious sort of meta game to what's happening right now. Do you believe that Joe is setting down stuff that matters to him or stuff that he wants cleared out?
Yeah. It's a little less, appealing to Grindstone now, just because you're clearing his top for him. So I don't know if I would want to do that at this point. You see a Simian Spirit Guide and Arid Mesa here for Bustos, but we'll see. There's Arid Mesa just past the turn back here, so just a lot of draw go action. Keep that hand empty and see if he can find something turn after turn with top. Bernal keeps the cards just exactly how he does want them. Just wanted to make sure he kept them in the same order. He's going to take a draw. It's a copy of Tundra. You see the counterbalance in his hand. A lot of cards he can't cast here as he's going to spin the top off of his Caracas, Mountain.
And no way to shuffle his deck now that his fetch lands are shut off.
Yep.
So
He's in the same problem here that Bustos is in. They have to, I guess, play honest Magic even though they both have a top. Is it really honest? Looks like he's going to go brainstorming again here.
it is time consuming.
Well, that's definitely true. No argument there.
Honest is sort of a subjective term.
Yeah.
But we can agree it's time consuming.
Agree to agree. Here is Brainstorm. Going to pick up a couple of cards. What this will allow Bernal to do is, because he's going to draw 3 cards. 3 cards he's already seen with top. He's going to put 2 back, and then you can activate top to actually see a new card. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's digging furiously for the planes in his deck. And then what he can do is cast Snapcaster Mage and then flashback the Vindicate to take care of the Blood Moon to turn his deck just back on. Or he could actually just take care of the Ensnaring Bridge and start attacking.
Or he can just find a basic island, cast Jace, and also get a huge edge that way.
That's good too.
Yeah.
A lot of different things he can do. He just needs to find basic lands. Bustos going to spin, and there's a Pyroblast. That's probably the most important card. Here's the issue. He does not want to draw that card because that means he'd have 1 card in his hand.
Yes.
And then the Lingering Souls tokens can come into play. So here's 3 mana. There's a Simian Spirit Guide. Of course, you can't tap the Arid Mesa for red mana to cast that because of Blood Moon being in play. So that hand is still empty. Bernal going to spin that top 1 more time. Just wants to make sure he's happy. You see a Snapcaster, Terminus, and a Jace. Looks like he's ready to draw a copy of Jace. Wants to have that in the grip in case he ever does find that island. So there that is. He's going to spin a top here.
Yeah, I think Joe, if he finds an island here, would be willing to put the top on top to get the island and cast Jace this turn.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. There's Pluto Delta and just going to pass the turn back. Bustos going to spin. New card is going to be a Phyrexian Revoker. That one could actually name Jace. That would be a pretty good turn. It would just be another kind of delay and deterrent, however. See what he wants to name with this one. The first one, of course, is naming Stoneforge Mystic. So we'll get confirmation on what the second Revoker is naming in just a moment.
Naming Jace the Mind Sculptor is not shabby here.
I like that as a name. I do. I wouldn't want to name top because, you know, even though you kind of want to stop Joe's top, I think that Michael's tops are very important and arguably more important than Joe's.
Yeah.
In this particular situation.
I mean, he could have tried to do some finagling where he puts... He could have tried to do some finagling where he tries to get the Divining Tops into his hand, on top of his deck, draws new cards that he can cast productively, mill over his own Divining Tops with the Grindstone, then name Joe's Divining Top, but...
The name is Batterskull. Powerful.
Although kind of a curious name here is Michael has Ensnaring Bridge.
Yeah,
so not totally clear what the value here is of something like Batterskull.
Let's not forget, we are in game number 1 and he hasn't seen a Jace yet either, so that might not even be on the top of his mind. And also, I guess his thought process, too, could be, well, I've got this Pyroblast on top of my deck. What do I care about Jace?
Sure, that's fair.
The answer is you always care about Jace.
You always do. Even when
record.
you think you have outs to it or you're set up, it's not the lock that it appears.
Ancient Tomb, top and Pyroblast is just going to draw Ancient Tomb, put it directly into play, keep the cards out of his hand. So
I'm also a little curious to see Michael not, playing a land here and then topping, because it's possible he finds a way to win the game or something proactive he can do.
Snapcaster, Flooded Strand, X. X is Terminus. Neither player doing anything too spicy here.
I feel like Michael could be a little more proactive trying to find something to do.
I think there's a lot of different ways he can be proactive here. Again, we already mentioned the grindstone at the top of just things that he could actually. You see, Joe is actually setting his library in such a way that if he ever does get grindstoned, then he'll be okay. See, Michael's going to draw a copy of top and just put that into play. Chose not to actually play the second Blood Moon there. I think I would have liked that if I was him, just in case anything does go wrong. But Bernal's going to spin the top again. Just wants to see the third card. It's a copy of Brainstorm. That's probably of much interest to him.
Yeah, Blood Moon is close here. I can respect the possibility of Explosives 4/3 or Detention Sphere, so there's some incentive to hold it back, but...
Yeah, definitely a wide range of cards. There's an Imperial Recruiter. That's the first real card. And actually allow a shuffle, too.
Here we go.
Recruiter, which can go a hunting for Painter's Servant and a shuffle. It's not bad. Gonna spin that top. 2, 3.
I don't think Joe's hand provides him any defense here.
Yeah, I don't think so. He might just be dead, which is weird given that he has all these cards in his hand. But, I mean, look at what Blood Moon has done this game. It's been very, very good against Joe, where typically it's not good against Miracles.
Oh, we would have had top counterbalance lock established here.
Yeah.
Jace would be in play. He could be casting Swords of Plowshares on something right now. He could be Snapcaster Vindicating. I mean, all sorts of things.
Who's just going to go through his deck? He went by one Painter's Servant. He probably just wants to check his deck just to make sure of his options. I think Painter is the best one in this situation. Just kind of want to go for it. I would be sensing a little bit of weakness here. And I'm not in love with the idea of keeping a card in my hand against those Lingering Souls tokens.
Yeah.
I guess you could take one hit and go down to 6. And he's just going to put that into play. Bernal says that's fine. Name a color.
Well, know that he can't cast Swords of Plowshares in response.
And he goes with green. Now he's going to fire away. Yeah, that's going to do it. So Michael Bustos is going to win game number 1 here over Joe Bernal. Painter plus Grindstone gets it done over Esper Miracles. We're going to head to the sideboards here between these players. We'll start with Bernal, which I expect to see a lot of 1-0s here. Oh my goodness, I am wrong. 3 Flusterstorms, 2 G-Tays, 4 Thoughtseize, 2 Pithy Needle, 2 Vendilion Click, 2 Surgical Extractions. This is the most linear, straightforward sideboard I've ever seen of an Esper deck in my entire life.
Yeah, usually you see a chock full of 1-0s.
I like Thoughtseize a lot. I like Pithy Needle a lot to stop Grindstone or Sensei's Divine Top if Joe doesn't have one. You can make arguments about a Surgical Extraction or Vendilion Click, and then GT, I don't think you really want this matchup in Flusterstorm, not at home here.
Yeah. On Michael's side, a Rest in Peace, an Aethersworn Canist, a Moat, a Rolling Earthquake, 2 Firebolts, a Manic Vandal, a Koth of the Hammer, a Pyroblast, a Ratchet Bomb, Trinisphere, Thorn of Amethyst, another Ensnaring Bridge, 2 Tormod Scripts. I think that he's likely... I never know what's going on exactly with the Firebolts out of the Imperial's Painter sideboard. Is it only for Hate Bears, or do you bring it in against the Deathrite Shaman, Stoneforge Mystic decks of the world as well? I've never really gotten a clear answer to that.
I know going into the Invitational, Ruben Bressler put out a tweet saying he was looking for 4 Firebolts. And I also was trying to put the pieces together exactly on why that was happening. It does have flashback, so you get to use it twice, right?
Yeah, and there's a bunch of Ancient Tombs in the deck.
Yeah?
Flashback comes up all the time.
I'm sure, Ruben, if you're at home or in your new home in Vegas with AJ Soccer, let us know, Imperial Painter Master, on why you're firebolting.
Well, most of the key creatures in Legacy are 2 toughness. There's not a lot in the way of 3 times creatures. There's Painter Servants, there's Sarah Avengers. It's a pretty slim list. Tarmogoyf sometimes. Most of the key creatures are 2 toughness, whether they're Hate Bears or Deathrite Shamans or Stoneforge Mystics or Flip Delver of Secrets and such. So the difference between 2 and 3 damage is pretty marginal compared to a card like Lightning Bolt, let's say. And flashback is a real thing in a deck that has access to Ancient Tombs.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, there are a lot of true toughness creatures. It can go upstairs. That's not really what this deck is all about. And flashback lets you kill another one. So, I've used to play Tarfire and Goblins, for example, for just that reason. And, maybe that's exactly why you do see Firebolt here. It's obviously obscure, but that's what kind of makes Legacy great. It's not as obscure as, that rolling Earthquake, but, what is?
Right. And I've also contemplated, for example, playing Searing Blood in my burn list instead of Searing Blaze for the same reason. The creatures that you care about primarily are 2 toughness, not 3. I think we're going to see the Koth of the Hammer here, too.
Bonk.
I love
like
it. I love it.
Koth is a nice one-up in the sideboard of this deck.
Yeah.
Can't find it, but it puts a unique perspective on the game, gives you an alternate win condition. I know Jonathan Suarez, a player who did win Star City Games Legacy Open last summer when we were in Baltimore, using Koth to great effect, actually a way for you to beat Sneak and Show. Your goal is to ensnaring bridge them, get no cards in hand, and then go ultimate Koth. We call that through the back door, side door.
Wow, that is very backdoory.
Yeah. It's no Burning Wish for Living Wish for the creature you want to reanimate, but I've seen some things in my day, and that definitely falls into the category of the back door, side door.
Yeah, I assumed that Koth of the Hammer was more for just generic control decks.
It's good against them, too. Yeah. That's how good it is. It's good against multiple strategies.
Can't Abrupt Decant, really good at fighting Planeswalkers, especially Jace.
Yes.
You Jason Brainstorm, okay, it's dead.
Yeah.
I have a Koth in play still.
You can't swords that Koth.
No.
You can swords land, but I don't even care about the lands, so that's fine.
Well, he kind of does. He's only got 6 mountains in the deck total.
All right, he cares.
3 plateaus.
He cares about the land a little bit. I guess there aren't a ton. He's got a lot of fetch lands.
He has 6.
Okay.
And then 7 2-mana lands, 4 Tomb, 3 City of Traders.
A lot of fetches. But he's also facilitating a white splash here, so makes sense.
Pretty common now. We see 2 Enlightened Tutors in a lot of these lists. There's a lot. Of course, it's very good at gluing to the combo. It gives you a lot more flexibility with how you use your sideboard slots. That's why you see so many one-ups like a Ratchet Bomb, a Trinisphere, Rest in Peace, a Moat. You have the ability to get these cards whenever. The Moat is pretty ambitious, though. There's not a lot of wise sources of mana in the deck.
Yeah, but, when Moat's good, it's great. So it might be worth the stretch to try to get it in there.
Oh, there's some decks that can't beat it, and I'm sure it's unexpected.
Yeah. Especially from that deck.
Yeah.
Where you're so focused on, oh man, don't mill me, don't mill me, don't mill me, don't blood moon me, and they just moat you, and you're like, I couldn't beat that either.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
I can dig it.
You got Fire Bolts to pin down some Delver of Secrets. You can moat their Tarmogoyfs and Nibble Mongooses. If you're playing a deck like Goblins, it's just game over.
How dare you?
Have you beaten a moat?
I have.
Siege Gang Commander?
That's correct. Yeah. That's the only way. I know some people have actually tried Lightning Crafter to beat moat, and when you stoop to that level, it's time to just play a different deck.
Yeah, you've gone too far.
Yeah. Siege Gang is fine. Lightning Crafter, you've gone over the line. I at one point, I'm not too proud to admit this, to beat a moat, I did go towards Skirk Fire Marshal.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, just 10 ball.
Yeah.
I did not win with that strategy, but I got really close.
You can also bring in the mirror because it's pro red, so that's pretty awesome too.
Wow. Thank you.
There's so many angles for that card.
You're so right. Thank you.
Your
very
opponent
much.
brings in Firebolt. That's fine. I got a pro red creature.
Yeah, I have
not even a thing.
I have a 5-mana pro red creature.
And we've come full circle.
Heaven forbid I have other goblins in play. You're going to get lit up.
Yeah. I'm happy paying the mana anyway for this guy. If there's any other goblins in play, that's just a bonus.
Yeah. It's just nice. You can go and get your Skirk Firemasters today at StarCityGames.com. Is that where you head?
Sure.
Yeah. They are probably less than $1.
I would suspect.
Yeah. So if you guys are just joining us, of course, Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, Star City Games Open Series here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, not Washington, like I was about to say again. I don't even know if there is a Milwaukee, Washington.
No, I don't know either. This is your state. I mean, I don't know why you're asking me.
I don't think there is one. I keep wanting to say Milwaukee, Washington. Milwaukee, Wisconsin is where we are, home of the Green Bay Packers and the fantastic Milwaukee Bucks. We're in round 6 of 9 here, Legacy action at SCG Live. Hashtag SCGMKE for your tweets as Joe Bernal is furiously shuffling. He just looks frustrated and disappointed right now as he's shuffling like crazy.
I think there was some conversation that took place with him and the table spotter, I think. So I'm not sure what, but there seems to be some disagreement there.
Yeah. Not quite sure. Maybe we'll be able to find out here. Also waiting for a result to see exactly what happened with Jeff Rasmussen and that lightning strike thing. I know there are some people at home on Twitter wondering about what the ruling is on that. So as soon as we know, we'll of course pass it along to you. The head judge is involved here in our tournament.
My understanding here traditionally is that is just a game loss and you fix your deck. Joe, a lot of chatter and a lot of shaking in the head here.
He's just frustrated how that game went. There's a chance of that.
I don't know. It's not unreasonable for him to get locked by Blood Moon in the scenario that we saw.
Yeah, I mean, he does have 6 basics. That game just kind of went a little bit strangely for him, I think. Where it's not unreasonable for a Blood Moon to actually be good in the given situation. I think it just went a little bit stranger than he thought it may have. Because typically Miracles decks don't care about Blood Moon. That's part of the appeal. You actually see Miracles decks play Blood Moon to Enlighten Tutor.
Sure, yeah. Brian Bronwyn's been doing that quite a bit.
Yes.
Can we find out what Joe is talking about in the feature match area?
So 6 cards coming. Both players will be underway here in just a minute. Again, Bernal will be on the play.
So it looks like Michael taking a mulligan here.
Yep.
So you found this match to be very challenging when you were playing Painter yourself?
It felt borderline hopeless.
Did you just get top locked or like dividing top
It
locked?
wasn't really top locked. It's so hard to put the combo together, and one of your big tools against them is Blood Moon, and Blood Moon is just typically not very good against this deck. Yeah, again, we saw it be good against Joe in that last game, but typically it is very, very bad against this deck. And so as a result, part of the reason that you're playing this deck is because you have Blood Moon and Magus of the Moon, and it's oftentimes not good against Miracles. And additionally, it's just very hard to actually get the combo off. Now, I was playing against the Joe Lisette build of Miracles, and they just have a lot of really good cards against you between Terminus and Venser and just a lot of different stuff. It just seems very hard to actually put the pieces together, and trying to go to the attacking plan against Miracles is nope. Just no.
Simian's Terror Guide, Phyrexian Revoker.
Koth, whatever.
Koth.
Just not happening. So I think that is this deck's worst matchup, I would say. Here's a Grindstone.
Very important for Michael to sneak this in before Joe can establish Divine Top plus Counterbalance, because the rest of his combo doesn't require 1-mana cards.
And he's actually got them both out here, wasting no time. Bustos going to take a draw. Copy of Phyrexian Revoker. Not bad draw.
Well, if he can actually land this and name Divining Top, he has some hope.
Yeah. Might be time for a little blind reveal skis. There's a mountain. Decides not to get another plateau.
I don't know if he respects the possibility of some sort of back-to-basic style card maybe in Joe's sideboard. It would be strange since Joe is playing so many non-basics himself.
Yeah. You see Bustos accidentally dropped the card when he was shuffling. It was a mountain that came face up. Joe just wants to make sure he has the appropriate number of cards in his hand really quickly, which he does. And then we're going to see a spell get caster, I believe.
Well, I think he has to go for Revoker this turn.
Yeah, me too.
It only gets worse.
So the shuffling is complete. And I think we're going to have a spell placed on the stack. It's 2 mana. It's Phyrexian Revoker. It's a counterbalance trigger. Let's see if he can find it too. He does not. It's a Force of Will. Revoker is in.
Well, maybe. I mean, Joe does have the option of using the Divine
Yeah,
Top
that's
to get
true,
the Force
actually.
of Will. I don't know how much he cares, but
I actually forgot about that. He could draw a card with top, draw the Force of Will, and then use the Force of Will and actually make it so his top is still live. It makes you wonder if Joe actually saw that.
most likely. I mean, Joe's played this deck a lot. He does have Brainstorm, so he has a counterspell. He still has a lot of tools to fight over whatever Michael's going to be trying to do over the course of this game. And that's a very aggressive line going forward there.
Plus, he could just find his swords, right?
Yeah.
To get that thing off the table. So I don't think he's in panic mode. He's going to put a bunch of dice on that top just to make sure he doesn't spin it. Wonder if it's time to maybe try to resolve a Blood Moon. There's a pedal to start. I'm going to use the pedal instead of sacrificing the fetch line. This is a Blood Moon. Bernal, looks like it's counterspell time. Doesn't want anything to do with that, so. Even though it's not great against him, he just wants to wait a little longer, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a Brainstorm on upkeep? Take a draw first. Yep. Looks like if Vendilion Click just showed up, there's an answer to Revoker if he wants to use it that way, so.
Yeah, I would have to imagine he's in the market to get the combo semi-established. The problem is that it's actually fairly risky for him to tap out on the vanilling click because that might be the opening that Michael needs to just simply resolve his copy of Painter Servant, which is something Joe can't handle. I suppose Joe does have Force of Will in hand, so he can be fairly aggressive here getting this Revoker off the table.
There's the Plains. Not surprising to see him go basic hunting in this matchup.
Yeah, mindful of the Blood Moon that locked him out last time.
And there is a Vendilion click. I think the thought process here is, you know, I can protect myself with Force of Will. Let me see that grip. Bridge, 2 Recruiters. What do you think? Leave them?
I think a Recruiter almost certainly has to be better than an average draw. The bridge you can ignore. You can win this game with Jace or whatever.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, Joe does have Brainstorm in hand, but he has no 3s to set on top with the Brainstorm, so he basically has to just slog through these Imperial Recruiters. And once you're in that stage, I feel like you just should be taking one of them.
Yeah, the 3s in his deck are Lingering Souls ×3, and he's got a Vendilion click as well. Looking for Entreat the Angels, but none of those in Joe's deck. He's got multiple Vendilion clicks in his sideboard, so he has access to some 3s. There goes the Recruiter, trades with the click. Joe will take the dice off of the top, knowing that it's live again. Now Bustos is going to sacrifice Arid Mesa, get a Plateau. There's a chance he'll cast a Recruiter here.
I guess if Joe is concerned primarily with Painter Servant, as he should be, he still has Brainstorm +2 plus Counterbalance, so.
And there's Ensnaring Bridge. I can trigger that. There's a Brainstorm, but I can't imagine Joe cares very much about Ensnaring Bridge.
No, again, he can just win this game with Jace. He doesn't need to concern himself with dealing damage to the creatures.
Last game felt like an anomaly to me, where like Bridge was very good.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case a lot of the time in this matchup. I see Joe taking a look at a bunch of cards here. Going to draw Flooded Strand, has Lingering Souls on top of his deck. Going to play Flooded Strand, pass the turn back, knowing that the Lingering Souls that he just found can counter that Imperial Recruiter.
Yeah. It's not even clear Michael can get his hand empty efficiently, so Joe might be able to go with Lingering Souls if he wants to, but I suspect this game is just going to be about Jace somewhere down the line.
I like floating a 3 a lot.
Yeah.
So, there's Recruiter. He's going to spin top again. I think he wants to make sure that he has it on top correctly. Better safe than sorry if he's got the extra mana and knows it's not going to come up. So, yeah, there's Lingering Souls. Counter that. There's another Recruiter in Bustos' hand. So Joe can spin again and float the 3. He can draw a different card. He can draw the Brainstorm or the other copy of Counterbalance. He does draw a Brainstorm.
Yeah, and the fix is in now.
Yeah, it's all about patience, but at the same time, he does need to speed up, which is a ridiculous thing to say. But we're under 20 minutes and he's down a game, and his deck takes a little while to close.
Yeah.
There's a top. Can't imagine he wants that to resolve. Or anything for that matter.
Yeah, it's just what is the opportunity cost of spinning here? Feels fairly low.
3. Creeping Tar Pit, the new card, along with Balance. And Lingering Souls. Bernal going to cast a Brainstorm. So now 1, 2, and 3.
And yeah, he's just going to reset Brainstorm on top here.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Brainstorm and Lingering Souls. There's Brainstorm. Counter that. With the ability to spin top to put a 3 down there. Yep, that's counter 2. Yeah.
I guess he's maybe just getting his hand empty for bridge.
Yeah, there's a chance of that, yeah.
It still looks weird.
Yeah.
Joe didn't even have to set the Brainstorm back face down. It was still face up, so.
I'm still here. You see Brainstorm, Lingering Souls, Brainstorm is the way he set his top, so he's going to take the Brainstorm, Lingering Souls on the top there. There's Creeping Tar Pit. That's a way for Joe to potentially win the game. He's got to get the bridge out of the way, but that's his first, I guess you can say, win condition that he's found.
Yeah, but again, no rush. I mean,
Yeah.
What's Michael doing here?
See Bernal with a bunch of blue cards and Force Will in his hand. Got to spin top one more time. Make sure he's happy. Thoughtseize among the cards he's looking at now, along with Lingering Souls and a Brainstorm. Still no reason to shuffle there. Just going to pass it back with the one on top of his deck. Here's a 2-mana spell. What's this? This is Simian Spirit Guide into an Imperial Recruiter.
I suspect this will not resolve.
I'm with you, and that will get countered. I'm a little surprised to see that he would remove the Spirit Guide to cast that.
Yeah, at a certain point, I think that Michael should have spent some turns just grindstoning away Joe once it was established that he had floated a diverse set of mana costs on the top of his deck.
You saw Joe spin the top and then shuffle the 3 cards so that he can kind of mask the information a little bit on what card he's going to be drawing, because now he's drawing a Lingering Souls. And I think his thought process is, all right, let's get moving here. See if I can find a way to get this game over with.
There's something to be said for keeping pressure on Michael to keep his hand empty the whole way through.
Yeah, there is Lingering Souls, so 2 Spirit tokens going to come in. We'll see if there's going to be a flashback or if you would rather leave those cards on top, because he's floating 2 1s and a mystery card, and he'd have to use his only fetch land to do this, so.
Yeah, I think it's one of those spots where he'll just continue to play conservatively.
Oh, Firebolt strategy. That's countered. 3 cards, among them a Creeping Tar Pit.
Brainstorm's still on top. How lucky how many Brainstorms you've drawn.
Yes. And now he's actually said, you know what, I don't need Brainstorm anymore. He's going to sacrifice Flooded Strand now. Going to get an island to spin his top.
And again, still completely Blood Moon proof the whole way through.
Yep, and that's what you expect when you're playing against Miracles. They should be safe from Blood Moon a very high percentage of games. So Bernal going to shuffle things up. He's moving pretty quickly now, as he knows time is of the essence. You see the clock in the middle there, 16:20. So we work our way down here in round number 6. 2 and 3. You got a Delta, a Strand, and a Thoughtseize. So Bernal's going to untap all those lands. He's trying to get to work here. He wants to get that bridge off of the table. Going to spin a top now, probably.
Yeah, it's just clock. I mean, you can see Joe's just trying to be fast here.
There's a Vindy. He found what he was looking for. He knows the coast is clear to cast it, too. He's going to draw a card with Sensei's Divining Top right now. And, of course, because he does have Force of Will backup, he knows that this is a pretty safe line of play. He can play Vindicate, get that bridge off the table. That's not going to stop me from winning. Start attacking here with Tom Martell tokens. Bustos going to go down to 16. Let's not forget Joe has a Lingering Souls that he can flash back. I don't think he wants to flash it back this turn because he knows the importance of having a Sensei's Divining Top in this situation. Bustos is going to draw a copy of City of Traders. He's just going to play that, going to grind now. And Joe says, that's cool, I'll cast Brainstorm.
So this will actually end up working out well for Joe as he can actually kind of get his own shuffle on.
And he says, those are 2 cards that you're going to mill, so I don't care about that Thoughtseize or a land. Grindstone resolves, those are different colored, so not going to get to go again. Now Bernal will quickly untap. He'll take a draw. You can see he's in the driver's seat. Just drew another copy of Lingering Souls too, so he's got to be happy.
Yeah, it's just time. I mean, again, Joe's just trying to play as fast as he possibly can.
Yeah, this one probably finishes up with like 12 minutes left, I think. Doesn't take many attacks. Even Creeping Tar Pits could even fire in there.
Yeah. I mean, you can still play Souls, Flash Souls, for example.
Yeah, for sure. And again, because he does have Force Will plus blue card in his hand, he's got the counter back up for whatever the problem may be, because Bustos is empty-handed. So there's a basic swamp.
I mean, I certainly understand Joe's perspective here of wanting to make sure he's careful and, you know, wanting to be careful, making sure he goes through all the permutations. But the bigger issue right now is time.
You mentioned that he could play Lingering Souls and flash it back. That's exactly what he does. Attacks here for 2. Going to play a top as well. Another Lingering Souls is in the bin. Bustos will take 2, pass the turn back over. That's a copy of Sensei's Divine Top. And Joe probably just draws a card here.
Yep.
Mize reveal swords.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That's fine, too.
Grind you. 1, 2, click sword, sure. Bernal untaps.
It appears that Joe has sided in Surgical Extraction as well.
That can't be much of a surprise, right?
No, I like Surgical in this matchup.
Bernal going to activate Tar Pit, get in for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 14 minus 9 will be 5. Again, no bridge in play, and Bernal's got Force of Will. And top out there, he can spin the top as well. So, I'd say the hardest of locks here.
Yeah, he's got this one wrapped up.
There's a Pyroblast. Bustos probably going to consult the life bat and some other things here and then come to the same conclusion that we have in just a moment, which is we're playing a third one here in just a second, my friends.
Yeah, I'm surprised Joe hasn't done something like even just reveal his hand and show force of will to say, like, listen.
Yeah, we're done here.
We're done.
Yeah, which, might seem like an unsporting player or anything like that, but when you're really trying to get moving in a matchup that you think is positive, you don't want to get a draw and you're already down the game and obviously a little bit frustrated, yeah, here's my force, here's my blue card, let's go. So, not sure if this is the match or not. It may have been. Maybe Joe's going to use the restroom really quick. Okay, got it. Yep. So we'll bring it back to us here really quickly for you guys. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, Star City Games Open Series here in Milwaukee. The update on the other match between Andrew Tencham and Jeff Rasmussen, it was a game loss for Jeff with the Lightning Strike versus Lightning Bolt debacle, and then Tencham was actually able to take it down. So Andrew Tencham is going to move on to 5-1, playing Charlotte Bug as he's working his way up the leaderboard here on the Open Series and having a good tournament today.
Yeah, not surprising. I think that match was quite good for Bug. You have just a lot of troublesome cards for them, a lot of good removal, more power. And with Deathrite Shaman, you're not as susceptible to some of the tempo draws involving Wasteland and Daze than some other decks are.
Yeah. On the other side of things, Bernal going to go maybe compose himself a little bit because he does look a little bit frustrated with how things have gone so far in this match. Blood Moon kind of stealing game number 1, but when he does come back, we'll of course join that match and see if he's able to take it down or if it will be Imperial Painter with a small splash of white to get the job done. We'll find out either way here. So, again, I do think it's a very favorable matchup for Bernal.
I really like the presence of counter spells in his deck. Actual counter spell. Not a spell you see a lot. Sometimes you see one copy in some Esper lists, a copy here in some, various counter battles lists and so forth, but I think it's just a really powerful insurance policy to have in these decks.
Yeah. I liked Bernal's build of this deck. No Entreat the Angels, which is a little debatable because I know a lot of people are fans of Entreat the Angels. Looking at you, Joe Lissette. But you've got Lingering Souls over here. You've got one Snapcaster, one Vanilla, no Stoneforge package, which Joe is known for. He's always casting Stoneforge Mystic. These two Vindicates, obviously working overtime. But a little bit of a different build. Again, we've seen Joe experiment with cards like Back to Basics, in which he made the top 4 of the Legacy Open in Columbus with. So it seems like he's just trying different iterations of this deck to see which one he likes the best.
Yeah, he's very metagame sensitive. I mean, his build changes from week to week. That's something of a departure from Legacy because most of the time you're watching players where they're playing the same 60. People get established playing certain lists. You see Joe Lissette. Maybe there's a card or here or there different in the sideboard. Tom Ross with his Infect deck. Change around a Stifle for a Daze in the main deck. We're talking those kind of changes. Joe plays radically different Esper Blade lists from week to week.
Yeah. And we'll see if it's going to work out from this match and moving forward in their tournament here in Milwaukee. But while we do bide some time here, my friend, this is where I get to have fun with you.
Okay.
I've heard there's a game that you work on. It's called Soulforge.
Yes, it is.
Why don't you tell us about that, since obviously there's bundles with Star City Games.
Yeah, so Stone Blade Entertainment is partnered with Star City Games who sell some of our content, but you don't actually need to purchase any of it to play. It's a free-to-play game, available on PC through Steam and on various Apple products, including on your phone. You can literally draft. You can draft on your phone. This is a thing that happens.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah. So, again, totally free to play. TCG, the designers and developers, all big Magic fans, myself included, multiple Pro Tour winners, Justin Gary, Brian Kibler, Mark Herberholz on the team, Ben Lundquist, John Fiorello. So a lot of big names that you recognize from Magic coverage. We're all big fans of Magic, of course, big fans of Soulforge. And again, totally free to play. We partner with Star City Games. We're selling some stuff, various bundles and good deals on their website. But even if you don't want to dip your toes in the water with spending money right away, you can play for free, draft on your phone. The future is now.
For free. It's 2014. The future is now. The future is great.
Yeah,
it freaks me out a little bit, but it's pretty great.
I saw one of our, at Charlotte last week, I saw one of our directors/producers, Shoebox, enjoying some drafts in between rounds.
Not working.
Yeah. He complained to me about the damage done to his productivity because of Soulforge's release.
Oh.
And I said, a man's got to eat.
I gotta eat. That's definitely true.
Eat.
That is definitely true. Food is good for the body and soul.
I gotta make rent.
I need that everything bagel from Dunkin' Donuts. You hear me?
If I don't make rent, they'll kick me out of my house.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, eventually.
I've tried it. Tried some other theories.
Well, it depends if you have roommates or not. I do not. So
okay, so
it's just me and the apartment complex.
Oh, let's not forget about Sergeant Whiskers.
No, he's back at my old place.
Oh, okay. That's too bad.
When I moved out, I was living with Justin Gary for a while. When I moved out, he kept the cats because they're siblings and we didn't want to split them up.
But the old Sergeant.
So Patches and Sergeant Whiskers had to stay with Justin.
Patches?
Yeah.
The other name's way better. Sergeant Whiskers is way better.
Yeah, that was the cat that I named.
Yeah. So now you're just a man without a cat?
For now.
This is a tough life. I don't know how you make it every day.
I'm going to get another one soon.
Are you going to name it Sergeant Whiskers? Or you got a better name in mind?
I'll have to see him or her first before I can make a judgment.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe it'll be Mittens. Like I said, I had to see the cat first.
Back here at the match between Bernal and Bustos. We see both players shuffling up here, getting ready for game number 3. They'll get a bit of a time extension, I believe, and then we'll be underway here in just a bit. Bernal probably taking a moment to compose himself, which if you've played high-level Magic before, it's actually pretty important to do because he does look a little bit frustrated with how things did go. May have needed to use the restroom period, but, take a couple of deep breaths and get ready to rock and roll here.
Yeah, especially with time being an issue. I mean, when you can feel yourself pushing against that factor as well, it's really hard to keep your composure at times.
Yeah. So, in just a minute here, we'll see Imperial Painter square off against Esper Miracles in round number 6 of 9. See him blast. Painter as well. Looks like a pretty decent hand there from Bustos.
It's really explosive.
He's got a top over there as well. This is a potential for a really crazy start for the Imperial Painter player.
He has a 2-mana land and a Simian Spirit Guide and Imperial Recruiter, so a very explosive opening, but no mountains in his hand.
He's going to play a top off of this. I wonder if Joe fights over this, especially when they lead with the City of Traders. He's just going to play and spin. So no fight here for Joe. You see a Plateau as the top card. Bernal going to take a draw to Source of Plowshares. He's going to play a Flooded Strand, kick it on back over to Bustos, who's going to draw that Plateau. He's going to spin that top. He's got a mana floating. He's looking at a Ratchet Bomb and Simian Spirit Guide and an Ancient Tomb. Puts Tomb back on top. Will he play the Plateau? He will. He's going to lose the land even though he has a mana floating. He just passes it back, it looks like. Over to Bernal, who will draw a card. It's an island. That's a Creeping Tar Pit.
That's a very weird opening if you're on Joe's side, because when they lead with City of Traders, it usually implies that they don't have other lands. And then when he sacrifices it without following it up with a spell, it implies that he has a lot of lands.
Yeah.
So kind of a confusing opening here if you're on Joe's side of the table.
Recruiter's going to go digging as Bustos does go down to 18 from the Ancient Tomb. It's going to search out another Recruiter, so we're going to go Recruiter chaining, I guess.
It's beatdown time.
Beatdown's a term that you're using rather liberally here, I see. But yeah, it's beatdown time.
It's beatdown time. No, Joe's at 20, but an implied 19 from the Flooded Strand. He'll probably sacrifice at some point. Time to go.
Let's just lock it into 18 right now.
Let's call it 18.
Yeah. Heck, there's a Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize in his hand, Force of Will.
Yep.
I mean, the implied damage is just incredible right now.
Basically dead.
And you hit him for one every turn. It's not just the one turn.
Yeah. That's why creatures are good.
Yeah.
Better than burn spells.
Sometimes, yeah. Depends on the rate.
Here is Thoughtseize. Bernal will go down to 18. You've got a Recruiter, a Rolling Earthquake. Bernal wants to take a look at that. We'll do the same. It is a Rolling Earthquake time, along with a Simian Spirit Guide, a Red Elemental Blast, and a Painter Servant.
So why do you think...
Rolling Earthquake.
So now I'm curious why Michael went for the backup Imperial Recruiter here. I guess he had nothing else to do.
Yeah, the thought process here might be that things actually change as we go. And you do see Rolling Earthquake from Portal 3 Kingdoms. Deals X damage to each player and each creature without Horsemanship.
Horsemanship is the Portal 3 Kingdom version of flying.
And it's got a great name.
Yeah.
Horsemanship. You gotta love that flavor.
It is sweet.
Thoughtseize takes care of Painter, which now Imperial Recruiter can actually search for another Painter. Bernal going to play Underground Sea. Looks like he's a little hesitant to pass the turn, but I think he will in just a second. And he will.
But remember that, Joe, we saw a Surgical Extraction from him last game. So that Painter Servant in the graveyard could be a disaster for Michael.
You actually see it from in his hand right now. And that's part of the reason that he brought it in, because he has obviously discarded Thoughtseize, and then he can snipe them all, and then the Grindstone plan is done for. And I wouldn't be surprised if this Imperial Recruiter actually searches for a Painter, and then Joe gets the full amount.
Yeah. He also has Vindicate. I mean, he has ways to get these cards in the graveyard.
Bustos going to actually go buy a Painter. Let's see what he wants to find here. Maybe he's just checking to make sure. Another Recruiter, yeah.
Just going beat down.
Just chaining off. An attacking strategy. Looks like it might be Brainstorm time. It's actually Surgical Extraction time.
Yeah.
So you can stop shuffling your deck because I want your Painters. Thank you much. So there you see the Grip Recruiter, Pyroblast, Red Blast, Simian Spirit Guide, and the Rolling Earthquake. So what you do, Patrick, is you beat the crap out of them with recruiters, and then you earthquake them all the way.
You get them into range.
Yeah.
You get them into range, and then you finish them off.
Now, it's too bad for those recruiters they don't have horsemanship.
It's unfortunate. This actually may be the first time that I've seen 2 different Portal 3 Kingdom cards in the same deck.
This is definitely the first time I have.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, Ravages of War and Loyal Retainer, were those ever in the same deck?
No, and we haven't seen Loyal Retainer for a long time, and like those survival decks
Right.
to get Iona back. It's been a long time since we've seen those, and no one ever has Ravages of War. Everyone has Armageddon. No one ever has it, unless you're in a cube draft on Magic Online.
You should have one of each. Cabal Therapies and Metal Images and such.
Oh, for sure. Here's Vendilion Click. Is he going to take the recruiter?
He's got to stop these beatdowns. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Looks like the Spirit Guide is going to be removed to cast a Red Elemental Blast targeting Mr. Vendilion Click.
This is a blue-collar Force-of-Will right here.
It's not the prettiest thing I've ever seen, but it'll work. And Joe actually going to fight back. Wow. He'll Forcible back. Something must be really important here, he thinks. Trigger that. You see that hand. Let me get that recruiter out of here. No more. So he does get to draw a mystery card, does Bustos, and he will. Joe says, don't forget this. Take that with you.
It's not that good. It's really good, but it's not that good.
really, really good.
But it's not that good.
Bustos going to draw a Blood Moon here. There's a Firebolt. Now that's good. We're cooking with gas. In for 2 we go. Bernal going to go down to 14. It's a ragtag, a bunch of characters that Bustos is trying to get the job done with here. Bernal's going to sacrifice Flooded Strand immediately. We'll see what Landy wants to search out. Will it be a basic or a non-basic? Again, Blood Moon is in Bustos' hand. He's going to go with a basic Plains. Does not want to get ruined by that Moon effect.
And I think the Imperial Recruiter party might be over.
Ah, yes. Tom Martell always ruining the fun. Not the first time, won't be the last. Spirit tokens in the house. You see Bustos taking a look at Blood Moon in his hand.
We often
Earthquake too.
We often refer to decks as having a plan B. I had to imagine this is a plan F or G for Michael.
Yeah. Gonna take 2. Gonna spin the top. Pyroblast, Grindstone, Simian Spirit Guide. Grindstone is effectively dead in this game, as there are no more Painter Servants in Bustos' deck. Do that Surgical Extraction a little bit earlier, so. We're definitely on a different plan altogether.
Yeah. And I don't think Joe cares too much about this Blood Moon.
Yeah, this has got to be a snap trade, right? Probably.
I don't know. He's got 2 plows. He doesn't necessarily. He can potentially race here.
Yeah. Okay. And he can't flashback. He can't flashback Lingering Souls now because he doesn't have Black Mana anymore. So
Michael's on 2 copies of Ancient Tomb, so
counterspell, effectively a dead card. Here's an attack for 2. Yeah, Bernal's in racing mode because he knows he can't be milled now. So now he's just playing an honest game of Magic. And also, for the most part, those blasts that Bustos has are effectively dead as well, right?
right.
Yes, they'll counter the blue spells, but they won't counter very much else. Because Painter Servant can't come in and, do what it does, is there's a Simian Spirit Guide. Of course, not going to take any damage from Ancient Tombs here.
Yeah.
As those are mountains, Bernal considering maybe firing off his swords here on the end step.
I like Joe racing for a little while here, as if he draws his swamp, he can flashback Lingering Souls and really blow the race open. In the event that he doesn't, then he can use his Source of Plowshares and sit back on defense.
He's going to sit back now, actually. Slowed way down. Maybe the thought process here is, I can actually just go, Martell tokens, Spirit tokens on the Imperial Recruiters, Sorger, Simian Spirit Guide, and it's kind of your top versus my deck.
Right.
And if I ever find the swamp, I'm in the driver's seat.
Although it's possible Michael can set up a rolling Earthquake for 1 here, clearing the way for the Simian Spirit Guide.
Things I didn't think we were going to see on coverage today. Found one. Of many, actually. It started with Brush Strider yesterday.
Yeah.
And now we've come here. Yeah, there's your trade. So Lingering Soul's doing a fantastic job. Yeah, There's the Blood Moon, obviously. Bernal going to cast the swords now, probably. Yeah, get that thing out of here, he says.
Yeah, normally I think Joe would save that Swords to Plowshares to break up combo pieces, but he doesn't have to worry about that for the remainder of the game.
Bernal draws a Thoughtseize, can't cast that past the turn back. You see a spinning of the Grindstone. There's a Firebolt and spinning of the top, 2 Grindstones and a Firebolt. And there is a Grindstone. He's going to put that into play. Will Bustos just pass the turn back? Not going to have a huge effect on the game. Will the Grindstones? Bernal draws a copy of Lingering Souls. That will have a huge effect on the game. That's going to come into play. That might force Bustos' hand to actually cast that Rolling Earthquake as he'll spin the top. The new card is a copy of Goblin Welder. You see him slide his graveyard around. That's rather telling. What would you do that for?
What could be the motivation?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Rumble, rumble, shake, shake.
Yeah, they might have flying, but they do not have horsemanship.
Yes.
That's a different thing.
And that makes perfect sense. An Earthquake would take down a flying creature. But not a horse. There's a Marsh Fletch drawn. Probably have to fire off the swords here. I get that Welder out of here. That's a little bit too scary. Bernal going to play, we think, a land. There's definitely a reason to hold lands in this situation in case he draws a Brainstorm. But here's a top that's going to get spun. Revoker among the other cards that are found. Revoker actually pretty good in this situation. We'll see what he wants to name with it.
I mean, Joe's low on life here and can't cast the cards in his hand. I mean, he has a Thoughtseize that doesn't do anything, a Tundra that's a mountain, a Counterspell he can't cast.
Vindicate the draw. He can't cast that one either. Batterskull was named with the Revoker, so Bustos is going to untap. He's going to spin top on his upkeep. Firebolt, Grindstone Ancient Tomb. Firebolt's probably the best of the bunch because it cuts the entire turn off the clock.
Yep. This has been a pretty anemic game for both parties.
As you mentioned, plan W for Bustos here. There's a Polluted Delta to pass the turn back. We kind of talked at the top how Blood Moon's typically not very good against this deck, but somehow Blood Moon's actually getting the job done against Bernal. As in comes Revoker, it's going to put Bernal down to 4. Bernal takes a draw. It's grouping Tar Pits. Joe knows that's not going to do it. He just play Tar Pit and pass the turn back. And as you mentioned, he can't cast any of his spells, so you're going to spin that one more time. Lotus Petal among the cards that are found now off the top. Revoker going to untap. Going to flashback to Firebolt, and I can't believe my eyes. Michael Bustos with Imperial Painter just defeats Joe Bernal with plan something.
That was the weirdest.